So the SABC news story has been told over the decades with some images and videos speaking louder than just some words. The Archives Department is an integral part of getting this right for us, and joining us to better understand how archives fit into the news-telling ecosystem is Patrick Makhathini, otherwise affectionately known as Brapet here at the SABC, who's an SABC News former senior archivist. Thank you so much for your time, Brapet. Welcome to the agenda.
Thank you so much, Kolisi. Thank you so much for having me and the viewers at home.
So I'm going to let the viewers in on the conversation that we had as a build-up to this moment yesterday, where I was just trying to suss out where we're going to go with our chat today. And I think I'm taking it back to something that stuck with me that still echoes in my head right now. And you said that being an archivist is not just a job, but it's something about preserving history and the books for future generations.
Yes, it is. Archiving is a huge responsibility. Archivists are the custodians of our customs, traditions, culture, language, and history. They have to do that, with great accuracy, because these are the files that we refer to each time we have to tell the story. These are the files that our children must see, who are not there when it happened, when history unfolded. Mm-hmm. For example, our children must be able to see the former President Nelson Mandela walking out of the Victor Verster prison. That's of utmost importance. So the archivist has a responsibility to do that and do it well and do it with precision.
And you've been here for just over 3 decades or so. Where did it all start for you?
It started on the 1st of February 1988 when I came here. I started at the postal section. Then I worked my way up. I later joined from the postal section. I later joined business enterprises, where we were selling programs for the entire SABC. That's where I learned the importance of storytelling and the importance of preserving our file material, preserving our file material. It taught me a lot of things. That there is so much power in storytelling, and you have to use archives to be able to do that correctly. Because without the right archives, you're not going to tell your story properly.
And I know there are some memories that you continue to reflect on till this day. Most people that we've been talking to throughout the course of the morning have been reflecting on some of those moments that you'd also term career-defining moments. Let's hear about those for you, because I'm sure there are many moments that stand out.
Yeah, to be part of firstly, to be part of the SABC team, to work for the SABC, at that time it was an honor. When you work for the just working for the SABC, you were respected and praised. But more than that, it was the contribution that you were making. And when I first joined Enterprises, because at Enterprises I grew, and I started selling footage, our visuals, our file material. Because remember, Kolisi, that our file material, must generate revenue for the SABC. We don't just preserve them. We make them available to our outside clients who are making programs. Who in return bring those programs to the SABC. So all that is a very huge responsibility for the archivist. And it is important, that our journalists, when they go to the archives. Our journalists and producers, when they go to the archives, you've got to make that file material available and be able to provide correct material that the client has requested. So it's a huge responsibility for archivists, and with time, you gain the experience. When I joined the TV news archives, then that I felt that, you know what, I'm now contributing, fully, to the preservation of our history, our culture, traditions, and customs and language. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope the younger generation that I have taught, that I've left of the archives, they will continue with the legacy, of doing what we did. Things have changed, a lot now, since we joined the SABC. But I'm happy that we were part of those pioneers, who shaped television and broadcasting in our country.
And speaking of shaping and shifting the various spaces that we occupy, 75 years of shaping the country through storytelling, that has been the SABC in essence. I know you singled out one particular event when we spoke, and that was the violence that we saw happening in the east of Johannesburg. And those are some moments that also test your humanity to a certain extent. As much as you're a storyteller, but you're also human at the end of the day. Talk to us about how you navigated such moments, especially when it comes to detailing and archiving moments that have shaped the past as well as the future of the country.
Archives is very powerful. Sometimes when you sit in that in the edit suite, transferring footage and going through this footage, viewing this footage, shortlisting this footage, you see images that literally make you cry. We've shared this with my colleagues at Archives, that there are moments when they sat in an edit suite and cried because of the visuals, that they were handling, and shortlisting at that time. That is the power, of archives and storytelling. That is the power, of the kind of visuals, that the SABC has in possession. You begin to understand, the importance, of preserving this material for future generations. I remember, like I pointed to you, that the towards of violence, 6 days before the elections, it almost disrupted the elections, in 1994, and we were all concerned because everybody in South Africa wished for a peaceful transition to democracy, and when that happened, everybody, was happy. I had even, young people in my community, people that I thought, loved violence, but when they realized, that we were about to have that breakthrough, of having a peaceful transition, in our country, everybody, was happy. Everybody, was excited. We got that, that moment that said, we did it, South Africa. After when President Nelson Mandela was inaugurated, in Pretoria at the Union buildings, but even before that, the exciting moment, was, to see those meandering queues, of people standing, waiting to vote, for democracy. When our colleagues, as they were covering the event, the elections, people were saying, we've been standing here from very early in the morning, and we are prepared, to stand here, even through to the knife if it takes that. So that was a wonderful moment, and to have been a part of that, and be given a task to archive that has been the most amazing experience.
Look, Prapet, I must thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for coming through to share your reflections with us. And we look forward to the next 75 years as the SABC, as the new generation that comes in as well. And hopefully you've, shared the baton with the new breed of archivists who will also be tasked with telling our stories going forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Right, and of course that was Patrick Makhathini, who's an SABC News former senior archivist there, joining us to share some of his reflections right here on the program.